All right, hello everybody. I'm Erin Donovan. I'm the producer of Radical Act, and I am delighted to be joined today with Gretchen Phillips. Hi, Gretchen.
Hi, Erin.
How's it going?
It's pretty good.
I'm so glad you and your hair could make it today. You look amazing.
Thanks.
Can we see the diameter on that? Is that?
Yeah. Let's see. Where can we? It's
Yeah, look at that.
it's my birthright. It's a Texan to have tall hair.
Big hair. Closer to God. Yeah.
Oh, now it's gone.
Oh,
There it is.
you're gonna blink a little bit. I've noticed Skype's a little jumpy today.
Okay.
So, the last time we checked in with you was 15 years ago, and you were you've been making music this whole time, right?
Oh yeah.
And doing a lot of other things. And while we were waiting for the recording to get started, you were telling me something really interesting about how this now new movement with like digital media making everything more available, and the current expectation that all content should be free has kind of gotten you back to your roots of like when you were just starting out and you had to give away a lot of your content. And you've actually been able to really keep up with that in a modern way, though. Am I representing this correctly?
How do you think I've kept up with it in a modern way?
I think that you're actually doing something that a lot of people now are telling filmmakers to be doing, and that is you have a pretty huge mailing list, right, of people who've come to your shows or signed up on your website, and they want to keep up with news about you and what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't maintain that very well. I have to say I'm pretty atrocious at that aspect. I have very mixed feelings about sitting in front of the computer. It's not enjoyable to me.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of feels a little bit like prison or school, which is kind of the same thing. Like I feel like it's like I'm supposed to, you know, be eating bran. Like now as a musician, I'm supposed to be, in front of the computer, keeping in touch with people, blogging about all my thoughts,
Building your web presence.
Their world and having an online presence. And I feel like now I have this whole new, really time-consuming job expectation.
That also doesn't pay. Yeah.
Well, I don't do it, and or I do it very little, and I have spurts of being interested in that, but I can be so introspective that I just don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't want to tell strangers everything that's going on for me, and I've cleaned up my room to where it's not nearly as unpleasant to sit here at the desk.
I have not. I actually just shifted the camera to avoid the mess that is my life.
Better. I like that view we had better a minute ago, though.
What did you see?
Go back and let's see.
Oh, God. Like the box where I keep my mail and my lamp.
That's knowable to me.
And the lamp that I use as a coat rack. Yeah.
Can we just keep it here, please?
Oh, God. We'll just...
I'm more comfortable with that.
Okay.
That's homey.
That's hilarious.
I,
Do you like my IKEA chandelier? Can you see that? Oh, it's not on, but
nice.
little halo above my head. I like that. Yeah.
It totally is. I think that there could be a way for this kind of stuff to be more convivial, and for me to be interested. I actually did just buy a new computer so that all video footage isn't like super jankety, which is what the old one was. It was like. So, I have my desires. I don't think that this is an impossibility for me, but I don't like sitting down that much, and until I make my standing desk, which I am going to make with hydraulics so that I can adjust it, it'll be basically shaped like a pulpit.
That's what Donald Rumsfeld used. You have that in common with him. So
I realized, and I saw a beautiful picture of the big Stan Lee, who did like Spider-Man. He did comic books. He's a big pivotal part.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He was in the backyard of his place somewhere in the Northeast on a picnic table with a bunch of phone books and then his typewriter atop that, with his shirt off, working on projects in the backyard, but just this like rinkety stack of shit so that he could walk standing up. And I just, I think it's going to be better when I do that.
work shirtless in your yard on a pile of phone books?
Hello. That's kind of my problem. I think that I'm working shirtless in the backyard on a typewriter, on a picnic table.
I'm glad he's found what works for him. Yeah.
I think that these expectations of the degree to which stuff is being shared now, instead of an area that I'm more comfortable with, called being on the stage, starring a person being there live.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends who do, I'm sure, amazing online performances, coolest shit stuff, like when Erin was doing her shows from the middle of a river.
Yeah.
But I am not going to sit there and watch it. Now, I would go to that river and watch it live, but personally,
You're the dying breed, Gretchen.
And I say this, and I will lie in bed watching, instant Netflix, Arrested Development, and Catherine Tate show until the cows come home. So it's a bit of a contradiction. It's just I have an uneasy relationship with this new expectation of jobs, because it used to be that I would answer fan mail with a bottle of wine and a typewriter, and I'd go through it.
Shirtless.
And I'd answer fan mail in the 80s shirtless,
Your fans expected that from you, though.
Well, I know. Shirts are confining.
Totally.
I don't love a shirt. Yes and no.
Well, I was talking about this last night with Evelyn, who we talked to, Tex and I, and I was asking her, because she is teaching new media now, and she used to be a music critic, so I feel like she's someone who would have the most expertise and have done a lot of thinking around this, and I was wondering if the total accessibility of music now, how it's so simple to just Google music and find someone's Facebook, and now even, punk musicians or musicians that aren't, super famous Lady Gaga level, who aren't being chased by paparazzi, there's still like an element that their personal life is very much part of the presentation. Like, they're pretty easy to find. Like, they might have a Twitter account where they talk about what they're eating that day, or they might have a Facebook page where you can see like what kind of movies they like or what political affiliations they might have. And I was wondering how that might change the relationship people have for the worse with the musicians, or maybe I should also factor in the possibility it's a good thing, but I don't think it's a good thing. I feel like I want to let work speak for itself. I was never like a fan letter writer, like I was always a big music geek, and now I'm a big film geek, and I've never been like I want to hear about like what your breakup was like when you wrote this record. Like, I hear what the breakup was like. I'm listening to your record. I don't have that curiosity. And I think that's what makes me an older generation now, is that's a defining element.
Yeah, I mean, part of, I think, my own, yes, I agree. And I think that there's a certain, and certainly this is not the way for all queers, but this is specific to me. There's a certain privacy because, I've been gay for a long time. And the way in which I put it out there was measured and intuitive, but somewhat careful. But I'm not going to just, I've had my share of hate mail, and now you can just hate on my YouTube vid with your badly misspelled mean thing about you look like a man, tranny bitch, or whatever, where it's just the anonymity and the ease with which that stuff can be done, where it's not, in addition to the love, and mostly that's what I get. Mostly I get, oh my God, this takes me back, and whatever. But what I really like, and I think that what I'm good at, is actually having conversations starring like the people in the room. That's really wonderful to me. I love to talk with people and ask questions, and I am very curious. I'll read your autobiography about that breakup that informs but I'm probably not going to be following you. And maybe when I was younger, that's something I would have done. I was pretty obsessive about some artists when I was younger. But the filing cabinet's getting full for me. It's real full, and it's full of stuff, and I don't need a world of new. I don't need a world of new data starring other people, and also starring people whom I've never met. That's not imperative to me. Excuse me, I got a text.
Someone's got to get a hold of Gretchen.
So, I think that even those versions of distractions, like this is what I say about like a certain muscle that I remember very vividly when I was younger, when I was first on my own, of eating acid and the phone rings and I'm waiting for this girl to call and maybe it's her, but maybe it's my mom.
Or maybe it's a cop.
It's probably not a cop, but what if it's mom?
Okay.
And I now need to sort my way through this. And I can't just look and say, oh, yeah, it's the girl, or yeah, it's mom. I have to have a certain muscle to negotiate the world or the real world. And those muscles are still real important to me. And my muscles for negotiating the web are very weak. I don't want to spend a bunch of time here. I don't. I really would rather go out and see a band.
And you're in Austin, so it's always been like a really vital and available thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
There's too much music. So yes, so I think that this way in which content is free, what the digital age has allowed is a very inexpensive production of content. It means you don't have to go to the recording studio and ask all of your relatives to please invest in this recording. You can be Leslie Hall and just do it all on GarageBand. There are many different ways to do stuff inexpensively. Music, obviously digital photography has changed everything. And filmmaking. And what about a $150 flip camera, which I could hardly be more in love
with. Which is HD, yeah.
I love it. So because the price has come down, it's kind of democratized the production of content and of people's creativity, which I think is fantastic. It has also kind of diluted the pool because there is just so...
Because it got democratized, yeah.
Because it got democratized.
Well, what about, you were telling me about all the music you had that was on vinyl that went out of print. Did you move that into, like, digital? Like, are those available now as MP3s, or what?
Not nearly enough of them are.
Okay.
I'm sitting on a couple of things that I had mastered and should be ready to go that I did years ago. That I need to just do the work to reissue. Girls in the Nose, That First Meet Joy, the other two, Too Nice Girls. It's really only 4 projects, and then Dave Driver and I own Phillips and Driver, and that licensing time is over. It's 5 projects. I have 5 projects that I could make available, and that I would probably help seal my legacy, that much better. And I think it would be nice to do those things. But what it requires, I've noticed, is you kind of have to sit in front of the computer.
That it does, yeah.
And it is hard to get my ass behind the computer.
But what about, like, I'd be really curious to know, like, if you see a bump in that, or how that works out. I really want to know how, because you've been working, like, from, the 80s?
Yes.
How, like, all these changes in the mediums have impacted you, or how, so you need to, just for the sake of data, Gretchen, you need to get that music into the MP3s.
Oh, I think so. I just did an interview with a guy who's writing his dissertation about queercore, and queercore was old hat to me by the time that came around in the early 90s. It was like, we were doing this shit 10 years ago. And so he really wanted to hear my first album, Meet Joy, from 1984. And you can't really find it. And so I digitalized it, and I gave him a copy, and he wrote me and said, I love this. This is really great. And it is silly for me to sit on stuff that people could enjoy.
And that they might be, I used to do, put together retrospective projects for Kill Rock Stars, and how I used to get, musicians who hadn't thought about this music for like 20 years excited about it was I told them, like, these albums, they didn't just disappear, like they're selling for hundreds of dollars on eBay, and, or someone's going to digitize it and put it up on a free service, and you want to try to get ahead of that.
Yeah, exactly. No, I need it to be a productive winter, starring the proper temperature in the studio and me, just doing it. I did reissue the first Two Nice Girls, and so I kind of already built the stapler, and now we just have to open it up and stick the staples in there. I have many contacts with manufacturers and stuff like that. I got to figure that stuff out. I'm no longer really enamored of CD Baby like I was. They were really taking care of business for me, and they have failed me. So I have to look for a new model for that, and that's kind of not a small deal.
What was the CD Baby structure like?
It was amazing. You could go and you could look at track every song and where it was downloaded and all this kind of stuff. And then they sort of relaunched their website, and now it's shitty. And they also basically had a long hiatus of just not paying me.
Ooh.
And as I would call yet another charming Portland indie rocker at CD Baby to say, it looks like my sales are just like really down. They'd be like, oh, I see what you mean. That's weird. Okay, well, we'll get on that. I'll get back with you. And then, they would never get back with me. And finally, the last guy I talked to in the spring was like, that just looks like the usual drop-off of sales. I mean, an album's going to have a life, and then it's just going to drop off. I mean, I'm in bands myself, so I know how these things go, and I really don't think that that's the case, ma'am. I'm pretty sure that this is natural and normal. And then steam is coming out of my ears. And I'm like, please, Mr. Patronizing indie rock boy, do not tell me about the life of an album. And then, interestingly enough, all of a sudden, after I talked to that dude who assured me I'm getting, some drips and drabs of my checks. But there's a hitch that it's so enormous. I don't know how I'm going to figure it out. And so I have a new one coming out, a new disco record coming out, and I need to figure out how to do it. So I actually have 6 projects. To tell you the truth, I need six projects that I need to figure out my systems properly.
Yeah.
I need to have my website be very legible on, all platforms, on your iPad, your iPhone, your iPod Touch. It's a lot of time spent doing stuff that I can do, and I have my files, and I do it pretty well. But I'm going to be, honestly, I'm going to be talking to a professor. I'm going to be on my bicycle. I'm going to be making something. I'm going to be masturbating. I am going to be doing anything but sitting.
Taking care of business. Yeah. You know what it is I bet in Austin you have really pleasant winters. Like, it's still nice. Yeah. You can ride your bike around. See, in Portland, we get shit done because you can't leave your house about 8 months out of the year. So that's why we are in bands or make weird art or are perfectly fine sitting in front of the computer for all those hours, is because we don't have a lot of other options. It's that or go to a bar.
Well, I know what you're saying, and I'm kind of hoping that we do have a cold winter this winter, because I really do I have a lot of work to do.
You clearly.
And the thing is that once I get caught up on this, it's like when you don't pay taxes for a few years. You do those ones, and then you just stay on top of it. Then with the new projects, I could stay on top of it. Mm-hmm. I love that this is how our interview was going. I thought we were going to talk about other things.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I think this is great. I like what we're talking about. I like talking about inertia, which is the last song on Radical Act, is my song from fucking early 90s about inertia, which I do have a little bit of a body that, is at rest, tends to remain at rest. A
Excellent.
body that avoids the computer tends to avoid the computer.
Did you want to talk more about astrology?
No.
Oh, I think you a little bit want to talk about astrology, but okay.
Yeah, I believe in astrology. It's been accurate.
And you just had a very detailed reading yesterday, so I wanted to kind of pry some details out of you about that.
Vedic astrology, I'm moving into a Mercury Dasha. I'm 1 year into a 17-year cycle that's going to be more easier and lighter than the Saturn cycle that I was in for 18 years, which coincided with the demise of Two Nice Girls and the beginning of my solo career and of my relationship with Anne Svekovich. So whilst I've had very mixed feelings, quite frankly, about how my solo career has been, because of the way that Saturn is very harsh and judgmental, and not really necessarily fun. And I feel like, I like fun. like, I'm good at fun. I like fun. And so if stuff is just not fun, and I'm not even having fun with me, and I'm totally having fun with the girl, but that's not, necessarily.
Yeah, I like the name Spekovic. Where's Anne from?
Her dad is Serbo-Croatian.
Yeah, nice.
That's how we've been to Croatia when I wanted that anthology from former Yugoslavia.
I'm so jealous. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I know.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. But I don't want to tell everybody to go to Croatia because
then I'll get spoiled.
Then I'll be ruined.
Yeah. It's like Italy, but not lame with all the Americans there. Yeah.
Yeah. Except for Italy's unbelievable. God, I love Italy too. So anyways, this Saturn period was, my astrologer he's like, I think you're going to look back fondly on those times.
Well, do you think, what were you drawing from that? Is that like people had a critical reaction to your solo work, or you feel like you've been too critical?
Let me tell you this. When I was in Two Nice Girls and we were a 4-piece, I would have my friends who made me uncomfortable with this, but they'd be like, ditch those girls. Go out on your own. You don't need them. And
you were the Beyonce of Two Nice Girls?
Well,
clearly.
People were talking to me like that. And my experience with that band was a lot of processing. It was a lot of processing about our feelings, which I also very much love. I'm not against it, but it's a lot. It's a whole lot. And I grew hungry for, like, how about a band practice
that isn't 5 hours long?
Yeah. Kind of. And so I wanted something that wasn't so demanding. But what I wasn't prepared for was that my crowd, I'd been in a 4-piece, that my crowd would literally be cut and I would get 1/4 of the crowd.
Mm.
I thought, as the primary songwriter, I thought I was going to, I thought like, stop holding me back. And then I was, surprised, quite frankly, surprised and disappointed, and then just jealous of, all the young upstarts doing really great. And I basically had a great opportunity over the course of about 18 years to look at my jealousy. Now, I'm telling my astrologer that yesterday, and he's like, that's how you are. That's what drives you. He's like, that's good. And I'm like, well, I find it unpleasant. I don't like being jealous. I want to be, and that's what's happening with this Mercury phase. I feel like I'm above it a bit. Like I'm seeing what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a little unattached. Not in a numb way. It's not about numbness. It's just about like the thing is that I did what I set out to do. I really wanted to make things better for young queers. Stuff was hard for me when I was a young queer, and I felt like if there were theme songs for young queers to maybe not feel so alone, that it would be helpful and give them strength. And that was very important to me, and I was very fervent about it, and I did it, and then I did do it. I did do that, and I think that I helped change things and make things easier. And then it's like, okay, now what?
Mm-hmm.
Because...
And in the 80s, I imagine you were super alone out there doing it. Did it feel that way?
Yeah, we were. There was like, there were not that many out lesbian... There was the women's music circuit, which was very much about that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as being on... a non-women's music label. We were on Rough Trade and Two Nice Girls, and Frank was on Island.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
wow.
that was kind of it. So there were, maybe the Indigo Girls are gay. Maybe Tracy Chapman's gay.
Mm-hmm.
It might be that this new upstart, Melissa Etheridge, is gay. I mean, she seems gay.
Seems a little gay.
But they're not.
But they're...
Katie Lang on my gaydar's going off. They're not out.
Yeah.
We were out, and I was out before Two Nice Girls, in Meat Joy. And so the thing is that in Austin, people were already out. So it's not like I did not invent that wheel.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful, supportive home here from which to, be shot forth.
But you guys toured a lot. And, like, did you tour in England at all if you were on Rough Trade?
Yeah.
Did tours...
Well, you know what, we just played in London. We didn't really tour England, but we played in the Purcell Room, a very nice, prestigious room in London that I just saw again this summer. And I was like, pinch me, look, I played there when I was a child.
Did you feel like you were received differently in London? I mean, what was it like there for an out musician?
Oh, it was good. I mean, they dug us. It was 3 nights, and Shelley and Orphan opened for us, and they had just opened for The Cure, and they couldn't believe that they were having to open for these, American. We got a really bad review. We hardly ever got bad reviews in Two Nice Girls, but we got really bad review in NME. Mm-hmm. But we played. It was like the subscription holders of the Purcell Room. So there was basically a lot of moms and dads out there. It was union run, and the first gig, for whatever reason, the first of those 3 nights, they never turned the house lights off, and so we're just playing and looking.
That's a buzzkill.
British mom and dad looking at each other like, what are they saying? But by the same token, you had all of these queers who had heard of us, who are like dancing in the aisles and stuff. But it was, it was wonderful. I mean, because my own musical tastes very much ran in the early 80s towards these women, these British women who were dealing with so much sexual politics, like Au Pairs and the Slits, the Modettes.
Girls at Our Best.
Pardon?
Girls at Our Best.
Yes, Crass Penis Envy, and something even, just whatever. Young Marble Giants isn't like super political, but they were super huge for me. Mm-hmm. So I was in heaven. I mean, and we were on Rough Trade. I mean, that was my dream. And I had my dream. So the thing is that it took me a while to realize, oh, you actually your dream came true. Now what are you dreaming of? You don't have to hang on to an old dream.
Yeah.
Because your dream did come true. And basically astrologer said, well, you're like that. You're like, okay, did that, but what's next? And I'm just trying to at least stop for a sec and feel gratification about, check it out, I did that. I really wanted to do that, and then I did do it. Just take a minute to feel it so that I can be a person who's ambitious and does a lot of stuff, but also is able to create a sense of satisfaction for myself.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think all the time about Kurt Cobain. I think about him, and I think about how I really feel like musically he was just so phenomenal, so good, and he appealed to so... My mother loves that acoustic album, mm-hmm. live on MTV, because it's just, that guy was so good, so musical. And so if that's not enough, like people that you don't know loving you, and that's vexing, and if that shit's not enough, I want to figure out what is, because I do not want to kill myself.
Yeah. I don't want you to either, Gretchen.
No, and I'm not particularly suicidal at all, but I just think that I don't think that my satisfaction lives out there.
Yeah.
But I want to be in the world, and I do have a sort of, preacher in me that wants to put forth my ideas. But it's a tightrope to figure out how to do it. And I'm very sensitive about how I'm received. Don't talk through my show. You make me want to cry.
Oh.
Talking through my show.
That's going to be rough. Do you have that, like, at every show?
Quieter shows are really hard, and sometimes it's my best friends. And they're just prattling on through my show, and I just, also apparently in my chart is everything's going great, and there's one person, and that's the person that I'm fixating on. It's 200 people paying attention, and there's 2 people
one
talking,
person being a jerk.
And that's what I turn into, like how the whole show was.
And your thing with the one YouTube comment, and that person's bringing you down. When actually I wanted to ask you, and because I feel like where this is headed for your next cycle is, I think you're going to be super pro computer. I think you're going to figure out what your space is and all that, and you're going to get really excited about it because. Cool. I mean, I was also thinking about when you were talking about like what your work was like in the 80s, It reminded me of like this great Dan Savage video series. Have you seen what he's been doing called It Gets Better?
Yeah, I haven't. I saw Obama's.
You should see Dan's. Like, the first one with his husband Terry is so moving, and then, I mean, anyone that you like is, like, on the internet doing one as well. And, I mean, there's been a lot of kind of back and forth in the media responses about this, about, like, well, there's no way to, like, really draw specific data about, like, the impact against teen suicide that this could be having. And I just, like, I'm completely... And people also always just want to criticize celebrities who are really finding an easy way to, like, help out or, like, give back or, like, make themselves feel better about themselves. But I feel like this could be really meaningful. Like, seeing someone that you like or watch on TV and seeing them just, like, look into a camera and talk about some terrible experience that they had, bullying that might, like, be something that resonates with you, and you're, like, you know, a kid growing up in some shitty town. And what really brought me to tears is that Terry, Dan's husband, and I are from the same shitty town, and I was like, oh, it's so true, and even 20 years later, it was still fucking awful there. And yeah. So I feel like there's a place in cyberspace for Gretchen Phillips, and I feel like that's where you're headed, is conquering the internet.
You know what? That would be cool, because let me tell you, I could not love Leslie Hall more than I do. You know who that is?
No.
Well, go check it out.
Okay.
She's a celebrity, and Leslie Hall is not afraid of the internet, and the internet is not afraid of and very much in love with her. And I do thank you for reminding me that I do take great inspiration from her version of putting herself out there, and what is so inspiring about being yourself and doing that. And I think it's possible for me. I'm a Cancer. I have my feelings where I'm going into the shell. I gotta go in the shell for a while.
Yeah, you know what? If you find a way to be authentic and genuine on the internet, you will stand out very, very quickly. And I think that's what's catching on about It Gets Better, is that some of them are so incredibly moving. Do you ever watch this fashion show called Project Runway? Tim Gunn did one of the It Gets Better videos. It is incredible. Just get a box of Kleenex and just sit yourself down, Gretchen, and watch that.
I do love him.
He's amazing, and his story is shocking, and it's really wonderful.
Oh, okay. No, well, you know what? No, I've been really busy with family stuff, and I haven't been paying attention to this. Anne was watching the Obama, and I was crying because she's like, here's a president who's telling you that it's okay for you to be different. Like, when was the last president who fucking said that? It's okay for you to be different.
I mean, it's a hard time because, like, he's in this weird position where he has to kind of go against gay marriage because of, like, a lot of stupid, process reasons. But, like, he does say in his video, the problem is other people. The problem is people who don't accept you. The problem is not you. Like, I was just like... Yeah. Well,
you know, thank you for your encouragement in this regard, because I think I just got my feelings hurt a few years ago from what I felt like was the nothing response to an album that I worked a long time on that I think is just really masterful, and nothing happened.
Was it because of CD Baby, or was it, what's going on?
No, I think maybe it's the fault of the album, or I don't know. I don't really know what it was. You know, it just kind of made me refocus my attention, where I'm a little bit like a person who got jilted, who's like, I don't really feel like dating. You know, I don't think love is for me. So there's a certain way where I'm just kind of like, I don't think I really want to have a career in music. And, you know, I don't know. I think that there's still just a very tender place about just a disappointment that I didn't foresee at all. I was very confident about it, but it's a world always of changing expectations, and how do you deal with the new data that's coming in? This was my expectation, and now it's perhaps thwarted. Okay, so realign.
Can I tell you, the distributor in me hears that and just thinks, needed a better marketing strategy. It's not anything to do with the product. You just, if you believed in it enough to create it, there's a way to sell it.
Got an inheritance, and I spent a big chunk of it on a publicist who, as far as I'm concerned, really did nothing.
Yeah.
And that also hurt because I felt like, sucker.
Do you want to name names?
Fanatic, stay away.
Oh, all right. That's shocking, but good to know. All right.
I mean, he said to me when I said, I feel like this was bad, he goes, actually, Gretchen, I feel like this was good. And then I go, well, astrologer says. So maybe.
Did you come at him with your astrologer data?
I didn't tell him that my astrologer said that. I thought that immediately, like, okay, well, he thought it went well. But I mean, that's a great tactic. You know, I thought it went badly. Oh, really? I thought it went great. I mean, like, if I suppose I could say that to somebody. I don't know the answer, but I wish that.
It's tough.
I wish that I felt better about it.
Yeah. Is it online? Is it available to download?
Yeah.
Okay.
Through many sources.
Okay.
I
have a really random question I've always wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Did you see a bump when Tigre named you in the song Hot Topic? Did you get a bump from that?
Well, what was really sweet is that my then band, Lord Douglas Phillips, got to open for them in Texas a fair amount. And so that, I saw a bump in terms of my relationship with those three fine individuals who I could not really be more in love with. So, in a way, I don't know because I don't know. I didn't have my shit together as far as having my stuff online where you could Google Gretchen Phillips and then just download some stuff from iTunes. I hadn't done that work yet.
It was kind of before that was really widely pervasive. I remember it was at the cusp of that really exploding.
It was. So, but I did feel a certain. What I really, really, really like about them and about Kathleen in particular is that we share an interest in history. Mm-hmm. Some people are ahistorical; they don't care, but she very much does, and so her wanting to give, shout outs in that kind of way, I think is very generous, really generous to not say I just made this up. From the cloud, because I'm
a wholly individual, unique person. Yeah.
So I love that about her, and that's something that I feel a great kinship with her is, and that's something that I care a lot about because I'm so interested in forging relationships with the women who I saw on stage, let's say, or whose records I bought, who just inspired me so much. So I loved it because I also really love Chibo Mato. So the fact that it goes, I'm right next to them, I just think is great.
Gretchen, and Chibo Mato. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Pretty awesome.
And you know what? You know who has a great blog? Kathleen Hanna. And she does it the way I think you would like it too. She has comments turned off and they're really short posts and it's just like, hey, here's this art show I'm really excited about. Hey, here's this old video I found, or here's this musician that is from the 70s and I think everyone would really appreciate, or I found really inspiring, and they're great. It's a great blog.
Okay, but what about this? What if then people want to talk to you and then you find yourself having to be on the computer because they sent you an email saying, oh my God, I love that video. What did you think of the blankety blank part? And then I'm like, I gotta go. I mean, I have shit I gotta do.
You know what you do is you set up a separate email account that is public, that Gretchen Phillips fanmail at gmail.com, and then you just log into that when you have the time to do it. You don't keep it open all the time. You just keep it as that thing you do when you're I'm gonna drink the glass of wine, I'm gonna take off my shirt, I'm gonna respond to the fan mail tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so behind in my emails. And so I'm not... It's hard, and I feel like it's polite. It's really polite to go ahead and answer and say, that's awesome, thanks a lot.
It's polite, but it's what sucks your day away is those little here and there.
Sucked away. I'm not going to have there be a new invention and a new technology that I have complete mixed feelings about that then is allowed to suck my day away. I don't have children. They don't get to suck my day. I don't have a man. Day away, sucking him away. Why should I have a computer having to suck my day away?
I'm telling you, there is a way to manage it that you could get into and that would work for your lifestyle. You know what? Wait. Now, when back in the day, we always romanticize this, but back in the day, did you go and empty out your P.O. box and you're like, what am I going to do with all this mail? I don't have time for this. You must have had that reaction as well.
Oh my God, we loved it. Me and Meg. First it was me, and then it was me and Meg. And we would answer it. Mm-hmm. We would get together. This was a way to get together. Part of it is the solitary nature of answering your email. I'm a pack animal. I want my pack. I want my posse. I want them. We answered the fan mail together, and they would send us the mail, and then we would have they'd be ordering T-shirts from us, and we'd be packaging them and taking the merch to the post office, and it was it was something that we did together. That was a sign of our success. I'm sorry, answering yet another email from another fascinating person, which is mostly who I get them from, rock stars and academics and filmmakers. Like, I live a dreamy life of knowing intelligent people whose work I greatly admire, which I will tell them at length when I see them in person.
When you go to their show, but you do not want to say that mess in an email. All right.
It's just hard for me. It's hard for me to do it. It's hard. I mean, I had more free time when I was younger.
I know. And you don't even have a man do you have a dog? Is it a dog thing? No? I don't know.
Oh, because they take up too much time.
I know.
No, it's not a dog thing. I don't have a man or a dog.
Can I tell you about one more website I think you might think is interesting?
Yes.
Okay, there's one called vu.com, and people go on there and they ask you questions, and then you record super quick video responses. And I feel like that might encompass a little bit more of what you want, in that it's a public response and it's it's very quick, and it's completely like in one ecosystem. So like, it's not like you're going over here and responding to that and going, like, you're looking at it, like, it's all like, do you want to answer this message? Click record it quickly, it goes up, it's immediate, and that is public, and that, you can decide. And you can blast it to Facebook, so you can be like, I just answered this question, and like, then people can comment on Facebook, and I feel like that it keeps it all sort of managed in a way that, like, I don't know, like, I do feel like you have to do all this stuff, and yet you also can't let it, you also, like, have to do the actual work that you're trying to do.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. I don't, this is a very big challenge for me, and this is going to be my 21st century challenge, because I'm not comfortable with it in a way, because it also really feels like homework. Mm-hmm. And I was a person who was as much as possible, a straight A student with just as the minimal amount of homework, because I can't, I feel like even right now I can barely breathe thinking of, being forced to do this thing that's supposed to be good for me. It's like I said, it's like having to eat bran, which I actually like bran. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe I would like this if I didn't have this job.
You don't like being made to do it.
Kind of don't. And so if I had a date with you, Erin, if we had a date and like this, mm-hmm. and you said, at this time, we're going to do this, and then I did it, I think for me, that's kind of what I need. Is I need a partner. I'm fully capable.
You need a producer.
I'm fully capable of having a partner, and then they leave, and now I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll, and I'm fine, because that happens to me all the time. Mm-hmm. But as far as just of my own volition, it's very slow and hard.
Now, filmmakers are the same way. It's like, you got to get them, like, kind of up and going on all this, but they really don't want to. They don't understand always the point, and then they think it's too much busy work, and then, yeah. But then they're very glad down the road when you've made them do it.
That's how I think I would be as well. Because I was glad I did my homework, and I was glad I got the A. And I think if I'm going to be somebody who's like, how come I'm so overlooked, and I'm not even being there, then, it's really not fair.
Yeah.
To sort of, put myself through those emotions.
I know, because I have a Google News alert on you, as I do with all the other participants of Radical Act, so that I can keep tabs on everything that's being covered about the film. And there's...
You're getting them from the girl who's the staff writer in The Doctor, Gretchen Phillips, aren't you?
Yes. I'm learning all about many Gretchen Phillips in the world who are they're all doing fascinating things. The only other Erin Donovans in the world are winning swimming trophies every week, apparently.
Yeah, I
Just
know.
terrible.
And this Gretchen Phillips actually is doing pretty fascinating stuff. I'm just not really talking
You're
about
not on the you don't have the web presence though, so I'm not hearing about it.
No, you're not hearing me. You're not hearing me on the web presence blogging about my father in hospice, or my alcoholic brother, or the cat who I may be putting down due to how incredibly sick she is. I mean, that's how do you do that?
Just openly and honestly, like at the level you feel comfortable doing it too.
Which is not at all.
Yeah, well then
I don't want your comment about my heart goes out. I can't field it. I don't have filters. It's about filters. I'm a Cancer. I don't have great filters. You know, I get thrown off. Like, oh, you're talking to me, you know, and my head's all swung around, and I can't maintain my focus. You know? So I get kind of, that's a toughie. But I love this conversation, and I love you pushing me, which is just what the astrologer did yesterday. As I was like, no, I don't think so. He's like, well.
He's like, I predict you will meet a redheaded bitch who will pester you about shit you don't want to hear about.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that could probably be pretty good for me.
Uncanny. Gosh, yeah. All right, well, this is clearly the first of what will be many conversations about getting Gretchen Phillips into the web presence.
I have a YouTube channel.
Well, excellent. The door has been kicked down.
Ton of videos.
Well, you know what? You totally underestimate. You misrepresent yourself then. You're on the road.
Yeah, go to my YouTube channel.
I will.
Gretch Phil. Oh, you mean because all those other Gretchen Phillipses got on the web before I did and took Gretchen Phillips?
I think you can soak it up. I think you've got enough, like, mind share in the world, Gretchen, that you could rightfully be the Gretchen Phillips of the internet.
I know that would be good, but there's a lot of YouTube from 1984 to 2010.
Whoa, that's exciting. The VHS that's been transferred, it's all scratchy.
It's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible and great. And I did, like I said, I did get this new computer so I can put more stuff up.
Do you have a flip cam too? Do you do that?
Totally, and I love it.
It's fun.
I love it. You're very helpful. Thank you, Erin.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us. And where can people go to learn more about Gretchen Phillips? There's a GretchenPhillips.com, isn't there?
There's Gretchen-Phillips.com.
Okay.
Because you have to put the dash. Because there was this other Gretchen Phillips.
Who was faster.
Yeah, but she still was real slow. It's a testament to how slow I was. So you go to Gretchen-Phillips.com, and then...
Where there will be new and exciting things developing.
Right. And then there's Gretch Phil. I have a new disco record coming out with Phillips and Driver.
Nice.
Disco Dance Party 2000. And that is disco anthems for middle-aged queers. We just are signing off on the mastering of that. And I'm really excited about it because it sounds good.
Are you going on tour with that?
Probably not. Well, unless Men says, hey, do you guys want to open for us? Or something like that, you know?
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You drop them a line, see if they need some help queering the disco.
They might.
I think they do. The disco's very oddly straight lately, which is fine, but odd.
Yeah.
All right.
Everything's straight now. Just because the straights are so open-minded. They've absorbed us.
Yeah.
I don't mind lesbianism. Actually, why don't you girls make out right in front of me? I got no problem.
I'll videotape it. It's fine. I'll put it on the internet.
All right. Pleasure.
All right.
Talk to you, Erin.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.